Welcome to the Key to Growth podcast, Home Services Marketing Unlocked, with me, your host, Jen McKee. Every week, I sit down with top marketers in the trades, from the brains behind $100 million companies to those scaling from 1 to 3, even to 10 million, breaking down exactly how they got where they are and uncover the secret to their success. If you're ready to grow your business and get real, actionable insights, you are in the right place. Let's unlock the key to your marketing success, starting now. We're back again with the Key to Growth podcast. I am your host, Jen McKee, and today I have Kimberly Kean, aka Margin Creator, this is going to be a great one, guys. Be sure to stick around, but let's get started, Kimberly, and tell us a little bit about who you are.
Okay, I'm Kimberly. I'm in the Pacific Northwest, and I owned a family business called Gene Johnson Plumbing and Heating for a number of years. Grew that from just a small business to 8 figures. And I also purchased a Zoom Drain franchise. So also grew that business to 7 figures. Recently sold, which set me free to do what I really want to do as my dream. And that is to coach other business owners just like me, to help them get through the sticky points of being in business, help them navigate the things that can put them out of business if they don't know how to do it, and just really create the life they want.
I love that. So I always like to start at the beginning, but before we start there, I just want to know what Margin Creator is. So her handle, if you're not watching this and you're listening on Spotify, she has her name and then she has @Margin Creator. So tell us what Margin Creator means.
Thanks. Yeah, Margin Creator means creating margin in your life in terms of time, in terms of money, in terms of commitment and brain space. I really believe that business owners need margin in their life so that there is space between the money they owe other people and the money they have in the bank account, the time they have committed to employees or family, business, and the time that they are given on the earth. And then in your brain, you need space for creativity, space to recuperate after a hard week. And so I just am really committed to helping business owners learn how to create margin. A lot of it comes from financial, metrics and knowing what you're doing there. But yeah, working 12, 15, 16 hours a day to get you out of that cycle.
Yeah, for sure. And Kimberly and I have a mutual friend, Ellen Ward, who, if I'm sure many people listening to this know who Ellen is, but right before we were talking, Kimberly told me that Ellen was one of her mentors early on. And so I said, was she your inspiration for Margin Creator and creating this? So tell us, was it all Ellen?
Oh, definitely. I mean, Ellen is such an inspiration. She helped me so profoundly. She was pretty instrumental in the turnaround in our business. I actually entered a contest and had to write an essay, and she selected our business and we won a day with Ellen. And then unbeknownst to me, she had committed, maybe in her own heart, I don't know, it wasn't part of the contest, but she mentored me for 12 months after that. Just checked in with me every month. How's it going? To see if I was doing what she recommended I do. We did it, turned our lives around, and then the rest is history. It was really a pivotal part in my career.
And then you got connected with Zoom Drain, which of course, I'm sure changed a whole lot of your life.
Yeah, it did. Added a couple $1 million to our business, and it was a blast. I mean, the community there at Zoom Drain and the people I got to meet, and just to see how a business scales, the commitment, how you think about the future, it was pretty incredible. It was a really great opportunity. Helped me a lot learn about how to grow a business.
I love that. Okay, so let's start at the beginning. So your former business, was that your family that opened that, you and your husband?
It was a family business. Actually, my dad started it, and so I purchased it from my dad. And my husband has worked in the business on and off, but no, I co-owned it with my brother-in-law, actually.
Okay.
So yeah, we were often mistaken for a married couple, but we weren't.
And this is your sister's husband or your husband's brother?
No, my sister's husband. Yep. So we co-owned that business. Really, I started working there after I graduated college and a long, long time ago. And then we ran it together for 23 years, I want to say. Recently sold it. And then we also purchased that Zoom Drain franchise together and ran that as well for 5 years before we sold that as well.
So before you guys had it, how long did your dad have it for?
He had owned it for 20 years, actually. Yeah.
A 40-year-old business. So the marketing landscape has changed drastically in that time. So when you took over this business, was doing great and you guys just had to make it even better? Or was there immediately some things that you saw that were going to impact impacted your marketing and your hiring and all of these other things?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I lived through the transformation of the old style plumbing business to the new style. I mean, I think like the new style was being created as I was a little before I took over the business.
Yeah.
And I mean, we went from, your very traditional plumbing company, time and materials. We had we're talking radios. We had to learn how to use the two-way radios because I worked in the business. My mom was pretty innovative. So she did start with software very early on. I remember she had these huge floppy disks. I mean, it's just, it was very old. So we really changed a lot when we took it over. I did our first flat rate book when I was 9 months pregnant, and I stayed really, really late because I wanted to get that flat rate book done and in the hands of the technicians before I went into labor. So
my gosh,
whole transition as we were running the business and turned it into we did the truck wraps, and we saw the transition from the phone book where you basically I took a second mortgage out on my house to be able to put a double truck ad in the phone book to the commitment to, online digital advertising where, it was pay-per-click and that was brand new, and committing to that, which was
so cheap at the beginning, right? It was such a different landscape. It was really inexpensive pay-per-click at the beginning, right?
But it was a huge commitment, not knowing if it was going to work, right? Because
there wasn't analytics. People didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah. And we were still paying off the yellow pages. So it was pretty
hard.
Oh my
gosh. Now it's probably nothing in the yellow pages to put an ad in there.
Oh yeah. It's just, in fact, we stopped doing it after a number of years. We just didn't even do it. I know that some companies have success with it, but we never really engaged it again once we left.
No, I mean, if I get phone book, which actually I don't remember having gotten one in a while, but it's immediately in the recycle. It's so much wasted paper, just so unnecessary at this point.
I agree.
Okay. So because one thing I found really interesting is phone numbers, especially for legacy businesses and older businesses. Is that a first phone number still in existence and still getting calls on it? Or do you know?
No, the first phone number, I think that it might still be in existence, but it's not ringing into anywhere because especially with the advent of ServiceTitan, we became ServiceTitan customers in 2014. So we were very early adopters.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was just such a game changer in terms of your marketing. And I realized early on, keeping that one phone number was really going to limit what was the huge benefit of ServiceTitan to track my advertising.
Yeah.
So we kind of made that, we just named it legacy phone number. So yes, it's there and it still generates revenue, but we did not put any advertising behind it anymore because we wanted to see what's working.
Right.
And drive revenue a different way. So yes, it's one of the original numbers is still there, but not all of them.
So what are some creative marketing things that you did? Or is there any that stand out that you were this is a great one. This was fun. This was outside the box, or this was the most obvious thing. And if everyone did it, it would make a difference.
Oh, I feel for me, there's never just been one thing that we do that is all of a sudden it's the game changer. And I would share my perspective is the one thing that you can do that's a game changer. It's not actually a marketing thing. It is have a solid, stable financial foundation in your business. Because I felt when we were growing and trying to become the company that we aspired to be, what we didn't realize is that financially we were always taxed. We were that average company that only had 2 or 3% net profit, sometimes a loss, sometimes a profit. And so really sustaining marketing was very difficult to do. And what I feel I've learned since is every advertising decision is I always approached it it's a 12-month, 18-month commitment to see, does it work? Measure results. How much does it work? How much money should I put into it? Right. And so when I had no financial stability, I could never make a 12-month commitment. It was I agonized over every decision because the money was so precious. So the one thing that I feel changed the game for us was that financial stability, knowing that I could commit the 8%, 10%, 12% to marketing year over year. It would always be there. I wasn't scared. Combine that with ServiceTitan, where I knew exactly where my advertising was working, what to cut out. I could try anything, it took away the agony of the advertising. So it made it easy to try things like pay-per-click and LSAs and put money into, any random thing that came up, because it's like, well, let me measure and see. And if it works, I'm a game. And if it doesn't work, it's a no for me. So
when your coaching clients come in, and so what level of business are you typically working with right now?
Really 1 million to 5 million is
okay. So they come in and the first thing you're asking about is your financials. And as somebody myself, I mean, that is one thing I definitely struggle with, is understanding it. I think a lot about like, this is whatever it is, but like the neurons in my brain just don't connect about finances. Like I do believe I surround myself with the right people. Like I always hire CPAs. I've like up leveled the level of investment that I've made in my financial side of my business. And it still feels like Greek to me every time that they talk to me about it. And I'm like scheduling another meeting, like, okay, let's talk about it again. Like it's still not clicking to me. I don't understand. So like what does that conversation look like? And like, what are you helping them see? What's helping them get to the point where you can understand your financials enough to forecast it out and know how much money you have to spend? Or what does it look like?
Yeah, for me, it just looks like my getting really comfortable with the reality that you probably have to charge more than you are charging right now.
Okay.
I mean, at the end of the day, what you're charging, if you are not taking enough money home, if you can't consistently pay your bills, if you don't have profit left over, the first place to start is, what are you charging? Like, what is your price?
So that's like usually the conversation that you're having with people.
Yeah, that's the very first thing. I created a free pricing calculator on my website and it's really quick.
Should link that in this. We'll link that in this episode.
Okay. Yeah, great. Because it all starts there. And, I feel like that's so typical, right? In the plumbing industry, even when I started, I had a business degree, but it taught me nothing about the accounting or running a small business. Like it is so geared to this big Fortune 500 thing, or running a marketing department, or running an accounting firm. And it's so unrelatable to small business. And so really, I just focus on the metrics that I know will drive success in a plumbing business. Things like the price that you charge, how much is left over, which is called your gross margin after you pay for labor and materials and any permits or things like that. And then, how much you're paying in labor. It needs to be as close to 20% as possible for your field labor. And so I have created a scorecard that I customize with my clients, and we just look at it. We measure, we tweak the business towards those results, because I know if we hit them, they'll never go out of business, right? And then if they spend enough on marketing, I guess I shouldn't guarantee that. There's other things that can happen.
Yeah.
But those are disaster scenarios, or, death, divorce, all of those things. But anyway, I digress. So I just focus on those metrics that I know if you hit them, you can really get that margin. You can have space in your life at the end of doing the business. I managed two businesses, over 12 million revenue, and I worked like 27 hours a week.
Yeah.
And I never hired a marketing coordinator, but I did work with a really good partner.
So that's tough. I do see a lot of times, and even being a business owner myself, I find myself being the bottleneck when you don't have someone else who can help execute everything. So yeah. I'm glad that still worked out. What was the difference because I've met many owners who are part of franchises. So when you were, obviously every franchise is different, but what was the difference in marketing between a family-owned business and a franchise-owned business? Like, did you see that they were similar strategies, or was one just a totally different one?
No, we used very similar strategies for both businesses, actually, because Zoom Drain at the time was still developing their marketing strategy. I mean, they had some really cool B2B marketing strategies that were completely new to me.
To connect with other plumbers.
Yes. Yeah. And property managers, facility managers, those kinds of things. So that was new to me and really cool to learn about. But the B2C marketing, we basically used what we were using in our plumbing business. And that's what we used to grow the Zoom Drain franchise as well. I mean, it was just a combination of good website and SEO and pay-per-click and Google LSAs, reputation management, getting reviews. And we really, really focused on getting reviews, because I found that to be like it exponentially helped everything else we were doing. And then we also did a fair amount on social media with both companies, the plumbing business and the sewer drain business.
Okay, I definitely want to talk about that, but I don't want to lose this thought. And it's this B2C idea. So I think that a lot of people underestimate how partnerships with the one-to-many can help them, because like a homeowner owner is only going to need you once every 10 or 15 years, maybe. I don't know. You probably know that statistic better than me, but a business owner, a property manager, another plumbing company, they are going to need you a lot more. So how did you do that? Like, what were some of the strategies that you guys used? And did you start to implement that for both businesses, or what did you see with that?
Yeah, fun that you remind me of this, because it's like it becomes so part of the routine that you forget that this was innovative at the time for us. So we were a completely business to consumer, plumbing company. And then we bought the Zoom Drain franchise. And then, so what we did, we learned a lot from Zoom Drain's process, right? And we had the same CSRs. So we just set up our business so that we were super easy to work with, because you're right. A property manager might have 100 properties, and, or a retirement home, right? They're going to have plumbing problems that come up regularly. And so we made it really easy for us to work with things that we'd never done before. We had a credit application, and we set metrics for approval for credit. We determined like what size job we would do on credit, and then where our cutoff was, and when we would require a down payment, how we would approve, the references that we required. We just established those kind of operating guidelines really well and documented them, put them in our Google Drive. It helped us, right? Because then we could work with property owners who needed to buy, they needed us to hold on to that invoice for a while so that they could go through their process and get reimbursed from the owner. So it's just being friendly to work with. And again, being on a solid financial foundation helped us things, because without enough money, we couldn't afford to finance anything, right? We're not a bank. But, once we had enough profit, we could hold something for 30 days, for 45 days, especially when we'd done a credit approval. It made sure they were good for it and they paid their bills. So those became, we regularly had every day on our schedule, multiple property managers that we worked with. And then we created also a procedure and a class on Trainual for our technicians that they had to, in order to work for a property manager who's more likely to say yes. So a great conversion rate, great them, always get to go do the work as opposed to hear a no. So we just trained, here's how you work with property managers. And we created a class. And in order for them to work with them, they just had to go through that training class and pass. And then they were free to go. We would put a little skills tag on their ServiceTitan profile, and they could take those customers.
I love that. I think that's a great marketing. That's great marketing. Marketing encompasses everything. And sometimes it's how you train your team. It's how you treat your customers. It's how you keep them coming back. And it's how you even find them. So, okay. So let's talk a little bit about social media. So tell us about what your strategy was on your social media.
Yeah, this was a really fun period of time because social media was kind of like, how do you use it? And so we decided, we hired a person in our area that would love to do social media. And he would come in and we would kind of decide, okay, every time we're on social media, what is our overarching story? Like, what do we want to tell? What do we have to say here? And we really felt like plumbing's not that interesting. It is vital. It's important. You're going to be really unhappy if it's not working, but it's not what's going to get attention, right?
We're not going to go look for the plumbing company social media account.
100%. No one cares. And especially if you're just advertising on there, like, here's a special. And so we decided we were just going to tell the stories of the people. And so we would focus on our technicians, where they were on the journey. We would focus on, we built out a training room with 3 or 4 boilers, 9 or 10 tankless water heaters. We had classes regularly in our office, in our training room, so that the guys were learning on site. So we told that story. We told the story of our training. We would follow guys out into the field, take videos. We would interview them, what they liked about working at the company. And we would take videos of their trucks and how proud they were of how organized and clean they were, or tools, just all that kind of stuff. So, and it had the side benefit, our stories, we decided, okay, we're always going to have these be customer focused. It's going to be totally appropriate for a customer. And if a technician is looking for a job, we're going to actually market this to wives and technicians on social media, because if they're a match for our culture, training and continuous learning and all of that, and being clean and being in uniform, we wanted to attract those guys too. So So we just tried to focus everything on those two things, customer appropriate, recruiting appropriate. Does that make sense?
I love that. Absolutely. Yeah. And so what was that like? Were people calling you? Did you get new recruits? Like, were you able to track it?
Yeah. I mean, I think that tracking it is a little more challenging. We did definitely have tracking numbers for Facebook, and we would have forms that if people filled out. So we were able to track some of that revenue. And I think it's probably even more successful now because that's just a growing platform. But we were there, in terms of solving the problem of recruiting, it was extremely effective. And so right now in the industry, I mean, getting a customer is really important and challenging, but sometimes it felt like in business, getting an employee to serve the customer was even more challenging.
Yeah.
We could market for customers, but it was really hard to get the right guy to walk in the door. So being able to solve that problem and have a waiting list for apprentices and and just try to keep up with the demand for techs, that was pretty powerful, because if you put a tech on, I mean, that's growth, right?
Mm-hmm. So, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. I think that it's so funny. I just saw this question in an HVAC owners group, and someone's like, should I be using video on TikTok and YouTube for customers and recruits? And everyone's like, yes. How is that even a question? Of course you should. That's a no-brainer. And the question really was because they were commercial. But I mean, that's still people. It's still people on Facebook. It's still people on every platform.
100%. And even for commercials. So we would have campaigns on Facebook and Instagram that just targeted people with a certain title, and LinkedIn, right? So Zoom Drain has a thing where they do this grease trap cleaning, right? And so facility managers need to do that all the time. Some cities regulated, et cetera. And so it was highly effective. We would get a lot. That's how we reached them. It was videos and targeting by job title. So super effective. Yeah. But
I love that. You make everything so easy. Everything you've said is just very simple. Yes, that's what we did. We just targeted them and they showed up.
Well, and again, so when I say I had a good partner, I worked with a marketing agency, right? I was always in charge of it, but none of this stuff, I couldn't have done any of it without the right partner in terms of this marketing person, because it's technology I don't understand. And I was busy. I mean, I had a couple hours a month that I dedicated to marketing and of course, building the message, being the company that was worthy of a customer to hire and an employee to work for, et cetera. So all of it was marketing, like you said, the way the trucks are is marketing, the way that we answer the phones are marketing, the way uniform that our guys wore. One thing I'm really proud of too is because these guys were on camera all the time, right? We would be getting new content. So it started to get oh my gosh, how are we going to get a guy in uniform consistently? I mean, it seems so simple, but it can be a real issue to have a clean, good looking uniform. And so even that process, we just simplified it. We decided, okay, what are we actually okay with? We're actually okay with a wide variety of what a uniform could look like, right? So that we look good. And so we said, it's okay to be as long as it has a logo, it's the t-shirt we provide. Here's sweatshirts, here's hoodies, here's all of these things that being in uniform can be. It just has to be, right? And so we just sort of relaxed a little, and then we were always appropriate for camera. We had extra things so that people could go out clean all the time. And everything was marketing. So I worked with a marketing agency so that I could work on all that other stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love that. It reminds me a lot. I'm listening. I have an 8-year-old and 11-year-old, and this is a really challenging part of life for them, for me maybe. But a lot of the parenting videos I see are about what is actually important. Can you relax your boundaries of what you think is important and just make it not what is important, sometimes we get so caught up on no, it has to be this way, but it's why can't it also be this way? Is it really going to make that big of a difference? And then we're being a little bit more. So I love that idea about the uniform. It doesn't need to be this, it just needs to be clean and it needs to have the logo, and here's all the options, and whichever one that you like the best, then we're still presentable, we're still looking professional, but clean is super important. So
and in terms of, it's just like kids, although I mean they're wonderful adults, and
I know it's different, it's just thought.
but I'm picking my battle, right? I care about a really good driving record. I want someone who is going to do a good job in the customer's house and can communicate. I want them to quote the job appropriately. appropriately to protect the company's financial foundation, right? Like there are things I want them to be honest. I want them to be a good communicator. I want them to be kind to the people that are in the office. What I don't care so much about is like how they feel about wearing a button down and tucking it in, or if they're more comfortable doing all of that amazing work in the customer's house in a t-shirt or in a clean hoodie. Like I really think, especially in our area in the Pacific Northwest, there's not a high expectation that a tech is going to come in a button-down shirt tucked
It's a
in.
more laid back area.
Yeah. And it's just like, so we just did what worked for us. And that I could focus on the things that I thought were really, really important to our reputation. And frankly, I didn't see anyone in a review saying, no, I really wish that they put on that button-down shirt and tucked it in. I really missed that. I mean, I didn't care.
That's funny, for sure. Okay, so I know another thing that we wanted to touch on was like your experience now. So you're no longer involved in the plumbing businesses. So now you're building your own business and having to market yourself. So what has that switch really been like for you?
Well, it's been challenging because like I hired all of these things for the plumbing company. I mean, these are all like marketing and advertising. They're all spaces that I have actually occupied for years, but with someone to help me, right? To help me implement. So it's been really challenging on that side of it. I mean, I feel like I spent a quarter of a century learning the skills to be really good at what I am coaching on. And I'm learning this whole new set of skills. In fact, I definitely follow you, Jen. It's really fun. But I'm just learning a whole new set of skills. I'm having a blast. Like this is so cool to learn all of these things. So, but I'd say that the technology, getting comfortable on camera, like one thing, even though we were a family business, we always focused on the founder. And so we didn't like being on camera so much is totally new to me.
Okay,
so like, yeah,
that's
I'm just
interesting.
learning.
You were behind the scenes and now you have to be in the forefront.
Totally. So big switch, right? But I mean, I was always on the forefront, I don't know, with employees, right? Like I ran operations, I ran company meetings, I built the office team, which was super fun. I have all of that. And so, and that is all helping support this, right? Like I'm just talking to a different group of people. Before I was talking to my coworkers, the team, and now I'm talking to fellow business owners, but really we're all a team, like, right? We're in this industry, this trades industry, trying to do a great job for our customers and kind of fun, but new skills.
So you're doing the same thing, right? You're getting on video, you're getting on social media, you're sharing what you know, you're sharing your stories. Are you keeping that same, like you just told me all of these really great like ways that you were sharing your company. Are you seeing that in your personal brand as well?
Just getting started. So I think I'm still finding my way, to be honest. So I'm just getting started. I was always so involved in the operations that this truly is all new to me. So yeah, I'm definitely utilizing social media, a website, like all the things that were successful in the plumbing company. Yeah, it's a little bit different because it's not on demand, right? I mean, it's a little bit of a different thing. So I don't know if that really answers the question.
No problem. All right. So before, what I like to ask everybody is you're on the Key to Growth podcast. So what is the key to growth?
From my perspective, it's that solid financial footing, because if you market, if your finances in your business, if your operations in your business are disorganized, you don't have a good way to do the things you do, like you don't have a good way to answer the phone, you don't have a good way to book the call, you're not proficient at dispatching, you don't have a good price book for your customer, more marketing will expand chaos, right? You'll go out of business faster, actually. So yeah, I think it's really important. And I think that's a disservice to the customer, because you're offering guarantees, you're in their home, they're counting on you to be there to warranty your work 5 years from now, whatever your guarantee is. And so I think that you owe it to your customer to do the things that mean you'll be in business 5 years from now, 10 years from now. You owe it to your team. They're spending their life with you. So to me, the key to growth is getting your operations and your finances really strong. And then you can scale. You put money into it. Boom. It's really exciting. It can be really fun. It's some of the most fun I've ever had in my life.
I love that. So obviously we've talked about Kimberly being a resource for you if this is something that you need help with. So tell us how they can find you, where they can find you, and how they can learn more about working with you.
Oh yeah. They could go to my website. It's kimberlykean.com. That's Kimberly KimberlyKean.com. And there's a book a call with me button there that they can just schedule time right on my calendar. And then we link the free thing. Like if even for people that aren't interested, I have a couple of free things at KimberlyKean.com/free. And you can download some tools and hopefully those will be a help.
Yeah. And then on social media?
Oh, on social media, on Facebook, I'm KimberlyKean.com. And on Instagram, I am at Margin Creator.
Perfect. And like I said, we will link those in the show notes so that you guys have access to them. I loved this conversation. I think there were so many great little nuggets, and obviously the most important one being your financials. But thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Jen. I had a great time. It was great. I appreciate it.